everybody, and welcome to Collider Movie Talk for movie fans. I'm your host, Ashley Mova, and this is the daily show where we give you all of the latest news from the world of movies, plus some insight into what it all means. Leading off the show today is Dennis N.
Hello, and welcome back to another brand new episode of Collider Movie Talk, where we talk about movies, but also talking about Ashley's alcohol etiquette on the airplane.
What are you talking about? Schnepp's the one drinking over here. It's not even 11 o'clock.
Actual alcohol. Captain Phasma.
Yeah, it's Phasma juice, ladies and gentlemen. Officially sponsored by Star Wars.
Jon Schnepp, ladies and gentlemen.
How's it going? I'm sorry. I'm confused. Are we looking at that? Is that supposed to be switching, or is that like it
is what it is?
Oh no, it wasn't switching at all. It was supposed to switch over to Dennis, and it never did.
No.
So here is Mark Ellis.
You know, when I'm the most sober one of the group, that's never good news.
Ray Ora is on the switcher, ladies and gentlemen. So if things seem a little awkward and weird,
Yay,
it's because of Ray Ora and this Phasma drink right here. It's pretty delicious.
Nice.
All right, first topic of the day contains spoilers for the movie Kingsman, The Secret Service. So if you haven't seen it and don't want to get spoiled, please skip ahead. You have been warned. In an interview with IGN, comic book writer Mark Millar talked about the sequel to the Matthew Vaughn directed movie that was based on Millar's comic book series, The Secret Service. When asked about the possibility of Colin Firth returning for the next movie, Millar said this: "That's the conversation everyone's having right now, because part of what made that movie work is Colin. Colin's fantastic. It was a two-hander, that film. You also want to have the integrity of the story, so if you are bringing him back, it has to make sense. That's where it's at the moment. Beats of the story have been done. Screenplay co-writers Matthew Vaughn and Jane Goldman are working on it at the moment. Some things have to be worked out, some decisions have still to be made, and everything, so it's all fairly amorphous, but all going well." Dennis, what do you think about the idea of bringing back Colin Firth for Kingsman the sequel?
Well, I'm conflicted. I liked the Kingsman a lot, and I liked Colin Firth and his character. Who did he play? He played Galahad. I liked him as well. But in the movie, he gets shot in the head right after that awesome kick-ass church scene.
Freebird.
Yeah. And then he goes away, and like I thought, oh man, if they do a sequel, I don't know how they're going to do it without him. So it seems like they're interested in bringing him back. I don't know what they're going to do, if they're going to pull. You guys ever see John Woo's Better Tomorrow? Mm-hmm. And the main character, Chow Yun-fat's character, dies. In the second one, they just bring back his twin. Right? So unless they're going to do something like that, I don't know how they're going to explain it. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Well, I think we saw his head explode. Yeah. Basically, the back of everything that was inside his skull blew out towards the viewer when Sam Jackson shot him. Spoilers. And he's dead. So the only way they could bring him back is have flashback scenes. If they have young Lancelot, maybe thinking about like, oh, you know, some of the wisdom that was imparted to me by, you know, Galahad, and then cutting back to some of the training sequences that they didn't show us, or certain moments that they didn't show us. They could always do that. I think it would be cheap though if they brought him back and he never died. I would be bummed out about that, because Kingsman was a really fun and great film. I don't think they need to bring him back in that way.
There was a lot of cutting-edge technology lurking around that suit store. So, yeah, maybe it's a twin, maybe it's a clone, maybe it's something else. But I really want to know Matthew Vaughn and Jane Goldman's thoughts about this. Like, if they were trying to come up with the beats for a sequel for Kingsman, and then somebody comes and says, oh, by the way, you got to jam Colin Firth in here somewhere, or if it came up organically, or if it's an idea they had all along. Like, that would really tell me whether they want to move forward with having him in the movie at all. Flashbacks make total sense. So I would probably bet you might see Colin Firth in a Kingsman sequel in some capacity, even if it's just looking back, or you see like a a picture of him, or like a video that he taped before he died or something like that. But I don't know that you're going to see him magically reappear as a twin or a clone or anything else.
Well, I'm conflicted, because it would be great to have him back in those flashbacks, but I like the story and relationship between him and Eggsy, and so if he's not in it and only in flashbacks, I don't know if that character can carry that movie, at least for me.
You might have to add somebody else to the mix. I mean, definitely you need to add another agent, and you're going to have another villain and all that stuff. So if you can find somebody to take the mantle of Colin Firth, I don't think he's irreplaceable as something in a sequel, putting somebody else in that role. But yeah, Colin Firth was tremendous in the first one, so I'd like to see how they can get him back and make me buy it.
But remember, the Kingsman, most of those guys died. Like Michael Caine died. I mean, there was like, it was just like, S.H.I.E.L.D., and they were like, well, we're secretly Hydra. Right. There were like some bad dudes running the organization. Yeah. So Eggsy and all the younger new spies that's what my guess is. The Kingsman is like the new generation, the new knights of the
It's a very round universe for storytelling, though. I mean, there's definitely a lot of things you can do with that galaxy.
Yeah.
Mark Strong's character survived, right? He was Merlin, so maybe he'll take on that kind of father figure role for Eggsy.
I mean, there's tons of characters in there that are still around, and if they do use Colin Firth, I really do hope that it's only in a flashback, like Ben Kenobi way. Well, maybe I didn't explain it to you the right way. This is what I really meant. Like,
let's Force Ghost him.
Yeah, Force Ghost him. That would be hologram him. Here's the hologram version. Click, beep. Yeah, that could be from the files of Sir Galahad. Some pre-recordings. There you go. Bam. I've made these pre-recordings.
Send your checks to Jon Schnepp.
That's right. Please forward them to me and Phasma.
All right, what's next?
A new trailer for the upcoming Alejandro Gonzalez Iñárritu film, The Revenant, starring Leonardo DiCaprio, has been released. DiCaprio stars as Hugh Glass, a legendary explorer that survives a near-fatal attack from a bear, but is left for dead by the members of his own hunting team. Glass must navigate his way through the cold winter to survive. The movie also stars Tom Hardy, Domhnall Gleeson, and Will Poulter. The Revenant opens on Christmas Day in limited release and expands in January of 2016. Schnepp, what are your thoughts on this new trailer for The Revenant?
So awesome. I loved it. And actually, on the ride up here, I was like, yo, I don't want to see this trailer if they ruin it, Dennis. And you were like, no, they didn't ruin it. And they didn't. They show the bear scene, like little quick blast of that. They give you kind of the setup of basically what I'm assuming would be the first maybe 10 to 20 minutes of the film. And then what's going to happen for the rest of it is like kind of a revenge thing. But man, does it look good. It looks so good. It looks so well shot. Every shot is incredible. I mean, every single shot I'm into. I cannot wait to see this film.
Mark?
I mean, this trailer played like a tiny movie. And I say that all the time. The trailers are in amongst themselves pieces of art, but this took it to another level. The bear scene. I mean, the bear scene alone. And the way that Leonardo DiCaprio and Tom Hardy both have mastered that Civil War era growl that they have, the twang in their voice, everything looks so authentic about this trailer. I felt like I was in that time period. The way it's shot, it looks beautiful. This movie is going to crush come award season, and I know what I'm doing on Christmas morning now.
Yeah, what I loved about it too is, we saw that first trailer, which was very visceral in your face, but didn't really tell much of the story. This one kept the same tone of that one, but it clued us in on more of the story of now we know he has a son, and that's like part of why he wants redemption and revenge on Tom Hardy. He didn't only get left behind. Mm-hmm. It's one of those things where, because at first when I read the synopsis, I'm like, well, maybe they thought he was dead and they left him behind, and there was nothing wrong with that. Kind of like the story with the Martian. It's like it wasn't their fault. But now we're seeing, okay, they didn't just leave him behind. They killed his son, and now he has
nefarious.
Yeah, and then speaking of cinematography, it looks amazing. Emmanuel Lubezki, who did Birdman and Gravity, he's shooting this all natural light. He's shooting on the new camera Alexa 65. It's crazy how good this thing looks. And we got Iñárritu directing, Lubezki cinematography, and then two of my favorite actors, DiCaprio and Hardy, going off of each other.
Right. Like, so it's gonna suck, right?
Yeah, I guess.
Right, guys?
Yeah, you put all that in together, and it's gonna be. I will be so disappointed if I don't love this movie. My expectations are too high.
I can't imagine anybody seeing this trailer and being like, I'll wait for Redbox. Yeah. Like, you got to see this thing in the theater, right?
That last shot with the horse skimping. Whoa! There were so many shots in that trailer. I watched it on our little phone. I was like, oh my God, I can't wait to see that big. You know? It's so beautifully shot. The tension, too. I love trailers that build. And this, like the way they built the tension in this is you just hear the breathing through the whole trailer. And it just like keeps building up. It's like really well done.
All right, now on to our buy or sell segment. Ashley, what do we got?
The Weinstein Company has released a new trailer for the upcoming Bradley Cooper movie Burnt, directed by John Wells. In the film, Cooper plays Adam Jones, a talented but temperamental chef whose terrible behavior has cost him everything he worked hard for. Jones is determined to redeem himself and earn back the respect and trust from the people he let down. The movie opens on October 2nd and also stars Sienna Miller, Emma Thompson, Daniel Bruhl, Alicia Vikander, Uma Thurman, and Lily James. Mark, buy or sell this new trailer for Burnt.
I guess I'll buy it. I think I sold the first one because the movie looks good. I'm sure it's going to be a great movie and it's going to have phenomenal acting and all that stuff. It's just the first trailer didn't do anything to lock me in. I feel like I'd seen this story before. This trailer, though, was a little bit better. It was a little more engaging. It showed you a little bit more about what Bradley Cooper's character might be going through and the people around his life who are coming in and out. So I liked what this trailer did more than the first one. I'm still not like, oh, this is a most anticipated movie, but I think the movie looks good.
I'm going to buy it. I wasn't on the show when you guys reviewed the first one. I'm a sucker for these food movies like Chef, 100-Yard Journey, who, by the way, the guy who wrote this movie, Stephen Knight, wrote that movie as well. So I'm a sucker for these things. I watch all these TV shows with like Kitchen Nightmares, Hell's Kitchen.
Are you a chef yourself?
No, I'm not, but I'm just fascinated by people cooking food. Top Chef, Master Chef. So yeah, I like it. It's not like, you know, we just talked about The Revenant. It's not blowing me away. Like, oh my God, this is so amazing. I have to see this. But I think when it comes out in theaters, I'll be like, okay, I'll go check that out. Maybe on a matinee or something like that. Schnepp?
I'm gonna kind of almost buy, but I will sell the trailer because it just felt mechanical. It's like a by the numbers. Like, oh, really? That young, really pretty chef in training. You know, he's gonna ask her out, and there's gonna be a back and forth. I'm not gonna date you, and then they're gonna, you know, everything about the trailer is just like a by the numbers kind of, you know, romantic comedy, but yet it's a real rough chef who lost it all because he has a problem. Can he overcome his own difficulties to save the day and have a successful restaurant? Yeah, that's probably what's going to happen. Do you want to watch it just, you know, unfold before you?
I don't disagree with anything you said, but yet I still want to watch it.
The only reason I sell it, but not 100%, is because Bradley Cooper definitely helps sell that character, and I'm sure there's so much more to it. Like, it'll be an emotional journey. So, but just for the trailer, the way they laid it out to me, I don't need it to be so mechanically by the numbers. I wish they would just do a trailer and show a 1-minute scene of like him going through something and maybe like then cut to like, you know, I'm telling them what to do. I'm selling the trailer.
It is a great cast though. And that's another thing that the trailer showcases, just how many stars are in this movie. And I know a lot of people watch Movie Talk get informed that there is a new trailer from our show. So if you have to go watch both of these new trailers, watch Burnt first. And then watch The Revenant.
That's totally what I did.
Revenant's a tough act to follow.
Yeah, Revenant as that like delicious dessert.
That's another reason though why I'm buying it more is the cast, because it's not like sometimes, you know, you get stars who end up doing movies, but it's kind of like a solo thing. They're the lead, and then they get a bunch of like no-name people. Right. Since this one has Emma Thompson, and has Sienna Miller, Daniel Bruhl,
Alicia Vikander.
Alicia Vikander, Lily James. Those two aren't too hard to look at either. So when you get that big of a cast and that talented of a cast, then I get a little more excited for it and a little more. I feel like, okay, there must be, not must be, but I'm hoping there's something more to it than what you're seeing, which is, it is kind of standard. So maybe the next trailer, they'll maybe get a little more creative with it.
Right.
All right, what's next?
While promoting his new film, Pay the Ghost, Nicolas Cage spoke to Newsweek about not only that movie, but movies he's done in the past, and even ones he's turned down, like Lord of the Rings and The Matrix. He explained that he didn't have any regrets and that he thought regrets were a waste of time. He then was asked about which directors he'd like to work with in the future. Cage replied, "I would love to work with Paul Thomas Anderson. I think that he's one of the greats, and he's certainly a true artist. Quentin Tarantino and I, the two of us, could really do something quite special, but I remain positive and hopeful that it will eventually happen." Dennis Bauer saw that Nicolas Cage will work with Paul Thomas Anderson or Quentin Tarantino in the future.
Well, I like that he has no regrets. That's a kind of like a good attitude to have. I will buy that he will someday work with one of these directors. I'm leaning more towards Tarantino because I feel like Tarantino and his style, he could find a way to fit Nicolas Cage into one of his movies. He's done that before with other actors, you know, when like John Travolta's career was, you know, kind of down, he brought him up. And, you know, people forget because Sam Jackson's so big now. Sam Jackson was kind of like a character actor before Pulp Fiction. You would see him show up. He's even in Goodfellas.
Right.
But after Pulp Fiction, that's what made him a star, and he's revived careers. So I think he brought like Robert Forster in Jackie Brown.
Right.
He just brings David Carradine in Kill Bill. So I think someone like Nicolas Cage, I think he could fit into Tarantino, and maybe if Tarantino even hears this, he might. He's the type of guy. Yeah, he's the type of guy that would actually write something for him.
Right.
Paul Thomas Anderson, a little less so, unless he does something more like a Punch Drunk Love type of story surrounding Nicolas Cage. But I would say I would buy it sometime. He would work with one of these two. What do you think, Schnepp?
Yeah, you know what? I buy it. I think Cage is in this weird period of his career where it's like a lot of decisions for the movies he's making, are strange, if that's the best way to say it. So I think, him working with like top quality, top notch directors, especially writer directors like these two, super important for him to land one of those two, or someone who is a writer director who not only knows that of the range and caliber that Nick Cage could bring to a movie. I mean, remember, he's won an Oscar. He's been in so many amazing films, though let's just say P.T. Anderson, to me, I think he would be great in like a Moonrise Kingdom, like an Edward Norton character. He could have played that character really easily. I think Nick Cage would have played that Edward Norton character that was in Moonrise Kingdom. So it depends on how he's cast and what I don't think he needs to be a John Travolta, like, I'm going to revive my career. It just he has to have a really well-written, well-defined character for him to portray and then be directed by that same writer. Those writer-director teams work great to me. So I think he's smart for saying it.
Mark?
I'm throwing money around. I'm buying this on both accounts. I think he'll work with both eventually because you got to remember, Nicolas Cage had some bills to pay. So he's doing every movie he can take, and that doesn't necessarily lend itself to scheduling with the director you really want to work with, particularly guys like Paul Thomas Anderson or Quentin Tarantino who have projects that are their pets. Those are their babies. They really nurture those things, so it's a very specific production schedule. And if Nicolas Cage is running around doing 3 made-for-DVD movies, he might not be able to fit into those. Now that he's on a different... Hopefully he's on a more level playing field and he can take his time and choose roles that he thinks work better for him and work with people he wants to work with. Because Nicolas Cage, is he a little crazy? You're damn right he is. He's also a great actor, and he's proved it even in films recently. So I'd like to see this happen, and I think it will.
Can I just add that he is one of the greatest living actors around? That's what I'll say.
He would have been great as Superman. I wonder what would have happened.
I know.
Yeah.
What would have happened? But, Raising Arizona, Wild at Heart.
He's great.
Vampire's Kiss. Even Werner Herzog's Bad Lieutenant is an incredible role that he just killed it. So.
But I think it's also one of those situations, though, because, obviously he has financial troubles. That's why he's doing all these movies. But then you kind of, at the same time, you're hurting yourself because you're ruining your kind of brand image of who you are. And, then directors are less likely to take a chance on you because then whatever kind of baggage you bring to that movie. So it would take someone, I think, like a Tarantino, right?
To flip that baggage.
Yeah. So Tarantino, if he casts him, everyone else would be like, all right, we trust Tarantino. Therefore, we're going to buy into this. Because right now, I guess, especially a lot of times, and today, a lot of the younger generation didn't watch Nicolas Cage in any of the movies that he was really good in.
Right.
I loved him in Adaptation, stuff like that. But now he's kind of just more of a meme, right?
Yeah.
They just kind of put
not
his head
the bees, not the bees.
Yeah.
Like little sniveling kids come up, be like, yeah, Nicolas Cage, not the bees. I'm like, I'm going to strangle you if you don't walk away from me.
Yeah. So I'm hoping that he does get kind of a break like this.
Yeah, he will.
Hopefully. All right. We're actually going to go on to opening this week, presented by our friends at AMC Theatres, where we talk about movies opening this week. The Martian and I think The Walk. Is The Walk opening this weekend? Okay. And Sicario technically opened before, but they're expanding wide this Friday.
Again.
So we're going to talk about that. Ashley, tell us a little bit about that movie.
Sicario was directed by Denis Villeneuve and stars Emily Blunt, Benicio del Toro, and Josh Brolin. The film is about an FBI agent, Kate Macer, played by Blunt, that is enlisted into a joint task force led by Matt Graver, played by Josh Brolin, whose purpose is to track a high-ranking drug lord. Benicio del Toro plays a consultant named Alejandro Gillick, whose mysterious past ties into their mission. Schnepp, what are your thoughts about Sicario?
I cannot wait to see this film. I know these guys have both seen Sicario. It's opened this past week, but I've just been traveling and I'm like, when will I get a chance to see this movie? So I love Emily Blunt. I think the director and same cinematographer is it from Prisoners, which is a pretty harsh film, right?
Yeah.
So I know this film is going to bring that like darkness, is going to have that harshness, but the trailer really sold me. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing this film.
Yeah, I saw it this past weekend and I loved it. Roger Deakins shot it with Denis Villeneuve. I always mispronounce his name. My French is terrible. They recapture some of the stuff you saw in Prisoners in terms of the tension, the way that they build up scenes, the way that it's shot. The acting also is great. Benicio del Toro steals this movie. I think him and Josh Brolin might get Oscar nominations from this movie. Mark, what do you think?
I've also seen it. I liked the movie. I didn't love the movie, but I liked it a lot. And Brolin is the main reason why. Del Toro and Emily Blunt are great too, but Brolin is the one that steals this movie to me. But the star of this movie is Denny and Roger Deakins because the way they shoot, particularly the lead-ups to the action scenes. You don't talk about that a lot. Like man, the calm before the storm and the way that it slowly rises, that was what I really did love about this movie. The story, I didn't feel like it built the tension in between those moments as much as something like Prisoners or even Enemy did. But I can recommend going to see this movie because the way that you feel watching certain scenes unfold, it's just you're really gripping your chair. It's good.
Yeah, that whole scene where they're traveling across the border into Juarez, you're just the whole time you're like, oh my God, what's gonna happen? What's gonna happen? They just keep building and building and building, and then it kind of pays off at the end. And
here's what happens.
Yeah. No. And he dies, she dies, they all die.
The Punisher shows up. It's awesome.
What?
Yes, I would definitely recommend it. All right, now we're on to Mailbag. You can send in your emails to collidervideo@gmail.com, and we will answer them on this show or on our weekend show. Ashley, what do we got?
Eric Martinson writes, "Hey Collider movie crew, my question is about movie watching etiquette. Recently, I was watching a movie with some friends. While I was trying to watch the movie, two of my friends were having a conversation. One friend was watching a video on his phone, full volume, and the host was playing with her dog. Then, when I asked them to be quiet, they got mad at me. What gives? Why do some people just not understand the concept of being quiet during movies? Thanks so much."
Well, you probably shouldn't have Ellis over at your house.
Yeah, just everybody just shut up. I'm just trying to watch the movie. Just shut up. God, I hate people who make noise.
Well, what do you think? What would your advice be to him?
These things are it's a wonderful piece of technology, okay? And yes, it's a little shattered right now. I can't stand people, not just in movie theaters, but anywhere else, in airports or wherever, who think that because they own one of these devices, you're allowed to turn your volume up when you're playing your stupid casino game or Angry Birds, whatever the hell you're doing. Movie theater is one of the few places left when you can just go and just be in a dark world by yourself and escape for a couple hours. Please do not interfere with the sanctity of that. Or if you're putting on a movie at the house, there's other rooms, right? You can go outside, you can do something else. You don't have to be doing it while you're trying to get invested in a movie. Let the person escape who wants to get out of their life for a couple hours. It's fun.
Snap.
Yeah, that's like one of my biggest pet peeves. Anybody like, hey, look, you can talk during the trailers. That's cool.
Yeah. No, it's not.
No,
it's not.
No. I've laid back on that. I used to not like it when people were talking to us, but I'm like, look, it's cool. You're settling in. You're getting your popcorn ready. Everything's, what I miss and whatever. I'm good with that. I even let myself, when I'm in a theater, I'm cool with like if somebody's like, if the credits are just starting, they're like whispering or whatever. I still like I'm starting to get a little But if they're talking, like say into the first 5-10 minutes, or somebody's like on their phone, I'm getting up and I'm walking over to them and I'm telling them to stop. So and I've had to do that a few times this year, and it increases all the time. Like actually goes back to one of my worst experiences, seeing Tron Legacy. There was like a jingle jangle guy dressed up like kind of a Michael Jackson walking around on the phone, laying down in the front. I was like, wow. And I mean, it's like, I had to get security, and they were the ones like, sir, they were holding me. Like, I was like, there he is. It's like with movies, it's like, they have to catch the person doing it. So there's all these weird things. So usually I think the best way to deal with something like that is just to walk right up to the person who's being rude in front of everyone and tell them to shut the F up. And that's what I do. And, you know, that's just how it works. And if they don't shut up, then the next level goes. So if you're in your own living room,
The next level goes.
You know?
I like that, like kind of like a little subtle threat.
That sounded like a mid-2000s Nicolas Cage movie where he's just like a guy who goes around shutting people up who are talking during movies.
And he goes, you don't want to see where the next level goes.
I'm just saying, though, this guy who wrote in is talking about, look, if I'm at my friend's house and the host, because when he says the host, then you're at your friend, you're in your living room with your friends, and you're watching, say, you know, like a TV show or a movie. It's sort of like there's a little more flexibility because you're in a living room.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm always like, when I'm like in a movie theater, I'm like, look, you're not in your living room. You're surrounded by all these other people. Please respect them. You know, especially when I was telling Mark, when there's older people in the theater, they're like, you know, they might not chime up to tell these young kids, rude people to shut up, but I will. So in somebody's house, that's their rules. So it's like if the host is like, it's cool if people talk during the thing, then you just don't go and see the thing. That, you know, if you like it to be quiet in your living room.
I go Lord of the Flies. No,
Yeah?
Even at home.
Yeah,
Even
no,
at home?
I become the host. That's my house now.
I mean, personally, for me, I guess it depends on the context. It's like, are you guys hanging out at home and you guys are just bored and you're like, hey, just throw on a movie, or maybe the television's on, it just happens that you flip onto a movie and like, okay, that's a little more understandable. But if you guys made plans where you're like, hey guys, let's meet up at so-and-so's house and we're gonna watch this movie or that movie, blah blah blah, and then you sit down and then the stuff that he's talking about happens, then I'd be kind of pissed. I'd be like,
Right.
I thought we all were meeting here to watch this movie. Like I don't understand why. But if it's kind of a more casual thing,
Sure.
then I can understand a little more.
Yeah, and it's always like whether it's a comedy and everyone's like hanging out, and or if the movie starts to suck, you can start chiming in, and then it makes it fun. Everyone's ripping on the film. So this all depends on what the situation
I
is.
also
Mark
just-
is like, even if it sucks, I don't want you to say.
I don't understand though with the guy on the phone with the volume. You turned out, you know, there's things called headphones, right?
Right.
You don't have to
Yeah.
like turn it up all the way, and I don't know. Yeah, it really depends. Otherwise, you know, maybe get new friends or something like that.
That's right. Time
You know,
for new friends.
I'll trade him in, or bring Mark over and he'll enforce for you.
That's right.
Mark
And if you
will,
need to
yeah.
see the next level, here's Jon Schnepp.
Ashley, do you get
Do you have friends?
Yeah.
do you get pissed off when people talk or chime in while you're trying to watch a movie?
I think it really depends on the genre of the movie. If it's a comedy, not gonna lie, I chat up a storm. I'm probably one of those people that you guys yell at all the time. Because if I have questions, I have questions. If I went to the bathroom and I want to know what's up, like I paid to see this movie. I want to get my joy out
So
of it.
did everybody else.
But like, you know, you go to the movies to have a fun time, and you know, if I want to, like, I understand like having a full-on conversation with someone, probably not a good place to have a conversation. You can leave for that. But if I have a question, I want to whisper a question, you know. But if it's a comedy, I'm like, everyone's going to giggle, everyone's going to laugh, everyone's going to have fun together. But if it's like a horror movie, do not ruin my horror movie, because you ruin the suspense if someone's whispering behind you. And I absolutely hate cell phones in movies. Did you guys like know that there was this crime? I'm obsessed with podcasts that have to do with crime and thrillers and stuff. There was a like event that happened. I don't remember what state it was in, but this guy was on his cell phone and this guy goes to confront him. Things escalated and he shot the guy.
In Florida, yeah.
In Florida.
I don't do that. Yeah.
For being on
don't
his
do that.
phone.
Yeah, that's no level, any level.
That's the
shit.
Nicolas
Yeah.
Cage movie that you guys were talking about earlier.
Yeah. Just phones are great. Just keep in your just don't bring them in.
All right, what's next?
Courtney Merritt writes, "Hi Collider Movie Crew, we have been watching you since before our baby was born, and we swear your voices help her fall asleep at night. My question is, where is your favorite place to sit in the theater and why? Thanks so much."
Well, let's address the first part before the question.
Your baby is scarred for life.
Yeah, I don't know how they fall asleep to us yammering about.
Why, hello, little baby who's listening to us right now.
I don't know what you guys are talking about. This is like Sound of the Whales, man. This is just slow, peaceful, ease into a nice deep slumber.
Like hearing that, it's like, oh, should we all just get together and like make like those sleeping tapes or whatever for
Hush,
people?
little baby,
Yeah.
it's movie talk.
There you
Ga, 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 goo, goo.
on to the actual question. What's my favorite place? I mean, usually the middle, the front of the middle section. Sometimes, and I don't know if it's all theaters, but they have like sometimes a railing where I can like easily like just instead of going past people,
Right.
To go to the bathroom, I can just sneak underneath, and when I come back, I just go right through. So usually there, front mill. I hate the. I'd rather sit in the back, way back, than too close up, because I don't want to do this. I don't want to, crank my neck or get kind of disorientated or get like sick from the screen being too big in front of me. So I'd rather sit in the back. What about you guys?
Well, for me, I like to sit all the way in the front to either the farthest left or the farthest right. So I'm like kind of watching a trapezoidal. No, I don't.
I watched Dances with Wolves.
No,
like
I watched
that.
the Vanilla Sky like that because it was like sold out. And I remember watching. I was like, this is messed up. So no, but though most theaters now have in the front row, there's like a really big amount of space before it gets. So me and Holly, we love sitting in the front row, especially at like the ArcLight theaters, because they have this giant amount of space before you get to the screen. Like I wouldn't do a front row if the front row was there and the screen was right here.
That's most theaters though. ArcLight is a special exception.
I know, but I go to those special exception type theaters. I'm not like if it was a front row and the screen was right there, hell no, I'm middle. But it's like if we have that extra space, because I'm tall, I like to have my legs flopping out. And most movie theaters don't have that space for the big man. So
yeah, you can most often find me on the aisle towards the back, because I know that there's like a 70% chance I'm gonna want to pee at some point during the movie, so I don't want to disturb people. And it's such a tight space. I just want to get out, go, and then if something goes down, I like to be able to get out as quickly as possible. Plus, if it's a packed house, I like to be the first one to leave. I don't want to just be waiting in line with people and get their review of the movie as I'm walking out. I just like to be away from people.
I'm like
that's the general theme of this.
Yeah.
You don't like people.
I'm just not a fan of people. And I'll go and I'll sit all the way in the back, and then I'll wait for the rest of the seating to fill out. And then right before the actual movie starts, I'll say, okay, there's nobody over in that corner, or this is like the most desolate area, so I'll go over to that place.
So are you claustrophobic then? You just don't like all the people around you?
I don't like being in front of large groups of people that I can't control. If I have a mic, then I'm good.
So is this common with a lot of stand-up comedians then?
I think we like to be in front of all the people we're going to meet that day at one time.
Okay. Or
and
if
then we
all
like
of those
to get the hell
people
away.
were strapped down and couldn't move and were just watching that, then you'd feel like I'll sit anywhere. But I never I'm like a camel. I can watch 2 movies and not have to pee.
The
and then pee
rare
for like
2
5
hump
minutes.
Schnepp.
Yeah, it's like the second hump is filled, reservoir. Yeah, so I could just rock through a double feature, But
all right, what's next?
Rory Smith writes, "Hey Collider crew, with Oscar buzz starting up for some films, I had a couple of Oscar-related questions. Tom Hardy and Joseph Gordon-Levitt are 2 of my favorite actors, but neither actor has any Oscar nominations. Do you think either of them will get nominated this year, with Hardy in Legend and The Revenant, and JGL in The Walk and Snowden? Also, who do you think are the best actors and actresses who haven't been nominated? Thanks for giving movie fans great episodes every day."
Schnepp, who are some actors that haven't been nominated you think deserved in the past too?
boy, I'd say actually Fassbender, was he nominated for 12 Years a Slave?
I don't know.
Because he was incredible in that, and he's just a really incredible actor. So I'd be really shocked and surprised. Like, I think Jobs is going to bring him a nomination just from watching the trailers. But yeah, I mean, Leo and Tom Hardy in this film, like everything we're seeing from this film is just like so powerful, and it's all brought to by their faces and their acting. So, I mean, I would be shocked if one of them didn't get nominated for one of those roles.
Mark?
Yeah, I've said as far back as 1993 that Leonardo DiCaprio will win for The Revenant. He just looks so good in this movie that I can't imagine him not getting nominated. And Tom Hardy, I'm hearing that the movie Legend is pretty good, but he's phenomenal in it, so that could also spell a nomination for him. As far as all time goes, I actually go with 2 guys who were arguably snubbed last year, and that's David Oyelowo and Jake Gyllenhaal. I think that their time is going to come sooner rather than later as far as getting nominated. And it'd be nice to see somebody recognize Meryl Streep once in a while.
Oh yeah, because she
gets passed over quite a bit. It's weird.
Yeah, this is a harder question than winning the Oscar, because Oscar nominations, it's weird for me to say. They're harder to remember because there's, every year the category has 5 for supporting, 5 for lead. So sometimes you forget who gets nominated. Like even right now, I'm like, okay, Sam Rockwell, did he get nominated for Moon? at all?
No, he did not. And he was he's a tour de force. He's one dude and a bunch of him.
Like he's an actor that feels like deserves
amazing.
a nomination. There's when you're speaking of a movie that maybe the was good, Black Mass, but the performances were even better with Johnny Depp and Joel Edgerton. I think Joel Edgerton deserves a Oscar nomination for his portrayal because I think he almost steals that show.
Now, you guys saw The Martian. Has Matt Damon ever gotten nominated for an Oscar? I know he won for screenplay for Good Will Hunting, but has he been nominated?
I don't know that he's ever been nominated for acting.
The only one I could think of is maybe Talented Mr. Ripley, but I'm not 100%
because I think
sure.
there was an Oscar push for him when he did The Informant because it was a different role for him and he changed the shape of his body to play that role, but he didn't get nominated for that. So I think The Martian could be. Having seen it, I think he definitely has earned the right to be in the conversation.
Is it Informant? I thought that was Russell Crowe.
That was Matt Damon.
That was The Insider.
Yeah. Insider.
You're thinking
Two
Insider.
eyes. But you saw The Martian, though. I mean, is Matt Damon just plays like at such an even keel? Is he easy to get passed over because he's not doing extreme roles? Or
kind of. But then he kind of has a scene at the end that kind of it's not on par with, but reminded me of, remember in Captain Phillips with Tom Hanks?
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's kind of pretty even keeled throughout the whole movie. And then towards the end, when the shit goes down and the aftermath of that, like, you're just blown away by his acting. I'm not saying Matt Damon has a scene exactly like that, but he has a scene at the end that I feel like is kind of, towards that, where it's like, oh, man, like, that guy was holding it in and he just kind of lets it all out.
Yeah, I like when performances do that. When somebody gets through some sort of event, or like in Captain Phillips, when Tom Hanks has this happen to him, it's like Mariano Rivera coming in the 9th, and it's like this is just closing, and then he ended up not getting nominated.
No.
So I think that Matt Damon's performance throughout The Martian is something that should rank up there this year.
All right, I think that's it. Thanks for joining us on this episode of Collider Movie Talk. I want to thank the people joining me at the table. Schnepp, where can people find you?
You guys can find me on Instagram and Twitter, just at Jon Schnepp and at TDUSLWH. Tonight, you can find me and my Captain Phasma glass in Oakland at the New Parkway. We're going to be screening the film that Nicolas Cage didn't get to be in, The Death of Superman Lives, What Happened. It's the Tim Burton movie that Nicolas Cage was going to play Superman. Come and have a drink with me and watch the film. As always, tomorrow and like Wednesday and Thursday, not as always, you won't find me there. You'll find me at the Music Hall, also playing the film. So come on by in LA. So that's it.
And Mark, where can people find you?
Online, at Twitter, Instagram, all that good stuff, at 5150 Ellis, and you can find me at your local movie theater, not talking to anyone.
And Ashley, where can people find you?
On Twitter and on Instagram at Ashley Mova. Happy Tuesday, guys.
And you guys can find me on Twitter at ThinkHero and on Instagram, Dennis.tzng. And I want to thank all the people who had watched and shared my Apple iPad Pro sketch. It's gone over 100,000 views, so thank you for that. Also, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. That's youtube.com/Collider Videos. Visit our website, www.collider.com. And don't forget to check out AMC Theaters, amctheaters.com. And we'll see you guys tomorrow.